This like movie's getting really unrealistic. I know we've got like yeah, butterfly effect. Do you got what I just said? I mean, yeah. What was I gonna say? Sorry, I like cut myself off mid sentence because it's unfolding. This movie's getting like a little bit unrealistic at this point. Especially with the corny ass lines he just said to that girl with the fucking camcorder, dude. What the fuck was that? And she fell for it? I was like, wow, they must both be really fucking drunk. No, actually, they weren't that drunk. She was telling him. Well, she was telling him he was drunk. She was like, "You're drunk." This one starts to get pretty creepy too. What does he do? This like thing to the spider for? That's fucked up. I know this girl who has a pet spider. You know what I mean? Some people treat animals with empathy. Other people, I'm not gonna get into it. That was gross. I said I wasn't gonna get into it, but how is it the same people who like have a bond with their special equestrian horses and they want to like kill seagulls randomly at the beach for fun or whatever? That's fucking weird. I don't know. People like sometimes when they were young, they were into some really weird ass shit. Certain people who didn't have lives, I don't know. Honestly, and people have hobbies, but I don't know. Some people are just dark. Is what I'm trying to say. I mean, I want to like the kid here, like, but he just always, what he's doing is, like, this character, he just takes everything too far. You know what I mean? It's like, he was going to stick up for himself against his dad. I would, like, admire him, but he's going to actually take it to the point where instead of getting beat up by his dad anymore, like, he puts him in the hospital. You know, it's just, of course, this, like, horror movie type of thing is gonna be like, you know, it's kind of like Carrie, you know. So if you saw Carrie with like what was the remake? Chloe Grace Moretz and the mom was, who's the mom in that? Let's see, with Carrie. I mean, the original version was good too, or you know, maybe better, but I do like the remake. Okay. 2013. Julianne Moore. Yeah, she was good in this. So that's what I mean. Like the remake had like some pretty decent talent in it too. So you know, people like the original a lot of times just because it's the original too. But in this case, I think they were both equally. Yeah. They were both equally okay. But isn't Chronicle movies like pretty good? But it's one of those movies though that it's I feel like I want to say like dated or just like not dated but like in a way it's just like kind of it's kind of like a moment. It's kind of like, or it was a moment. That's what I'm trying to say. This was a moment in the 2000 like mid like oddies of the 2010s, which is not a thing, but 2000, yeah, it is, I guess, 2013, 14, whatever this came out like 2012. So, um, I mean, it slayed in certain aspects, like it was groundbreaking on certain things, you know. This movie is never going to be regarded as like Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, or like The Matrix or something like that. But it was trying to like be kind of groundbreaking in that way, and sort of, you know, it's like the special effects were not really anything we hadn't seen before, but it was combining this type of storytelling with, you know, specific like um, camera style called found footage. They've done this before, like Cloverfield and stuff and whatever, but this movie, I liked it. Because it took it on in a certain way where it's like it's a bit more like it's almost like a superhero genre instead of horror, because most of the movie is about like three kids being friends and kind of getting powers, and then it gets kind of dark. And what almost reminds me of it a bit in a way is like The Craft, because that's kind of what happens in The Craft. It's like kind of got that same actually formula, but with the found footage stuff added to it, and it's boys instead of girls being the main characters. And so the reason why it reminds me of that formula though is because it's like they kind of give you this like really fun, lighthearted start, but not entirely, because there's always like this, you know, shadow aspect of like the abusive father and stuff, in the same way in The Craft. Like there's always like, you know, Sarah's depression and Nancy's scars and Bonnie's not Bonnie, what was I saying? Bonnie's scars and Rochelle's problem with her classmate and Nancy's problem in her household, and that's all there. But then it's like they escape from that with all this like really fun, lighthearted stuff at the beginning, and it gets like almost like more and more lighthearted until the point where they just keep doing stuff for fun, and then it's like this moral lesson about how then they kind of crash out and start just like, yeah. Anyway, so the Chronicle movies like a bit like that, because it's kind of the same idea. It's like at the beginning they're like having all this fun, and then eventually that doesn't go so well because the one kid's kind of dark side takes over, and that leads to all these bad things, like similar to The Craft, where it's like, you know, Nancy and her like pejorative surrogate father figure, like being the blessing or the curse that his untimely demise led to this like $250,000 inheritance or whatever. And in this movie, it's Andrew puts his dad in the hospital because he's gotten like beaten up by him for the last time. And then that all like leads to like this chain of events, because his mom was already sick, but his dad was like the one sort of taking care of her or taking care of it, but like he wasn't really, because he had all these problems. But he was the one, like, besides the mom, who was like handling anything, like Andrew wasn't really. He was just like visiting his mom who was sick or whatever. And now that he put his own dad in the hospital, then he had to like try to take care of that too. But that proved to be like too difficult for him to figure out, being that he's like a kid who doesn't even know how to like deal with his emotions, and he bottles them up and stuff. And so he really doesn't know how to deal with like taking care of his sick mom now that his dad's like not there to like deal with all this insurance stuff and whatever. So he tries to get her like prescriptions, and just like what his dad was like telling him during the movie was that like the things for like his mom's cancer or whatever were like really expensive, and like the insurance stuff, it wasn't like working out and it wasn't easy, and that's why he got upset that Andrew had this like camera. So like he claimed that like that he had paid for the camera, or whether like that Andrew's being selfish because he had this camera or whatever. But like it really wasn't kind of fair because dad hadn't paid for the camera himself or whatever. So they never kind of like elucidated us on how Andrew did afford to get the camera, but he managed to get himself the camera because he felt like he needed it for sort of like self preservation and evidence because of the abusive father. So then, now that he had the camera and the powers, and he took it with him when they went into the cave and everything, it became part of this like addiction of like him getting stronger with his power, like which wasn't really Matt's interest and Steve's interest. Like they were having fun with it, but he always kept wanting to like push it farther and get better with it, which is something he like talked about to Matt earlier in this movie. Now he's like doing this whole like monologue where he talks about it to himself and to the camera, with then like shows some impressive stuff where he crushes a car or whatever, kind of stupid. It was like scenes like this that I thought kind of like where the movie was trying to do something that like was why it wasn't that successful or great, because these were like some of the scenes that it thought were like maybe the best and most impressive and whatever, and like the special effects are really kind of funny now in 2024, and the tone and the intensity of it is the intact in the acting and whatever was really not even that great at this point in the storyline. Some of those scenes are whatever. So I mean, I like this next scene a little bit more, where Matt comes to confront him and then he flies away. So it's exactly what I mean. It's like that last scene, they probably cost them like 10 times as much to make in special effects budget than just him just pretending to be like, oh, it's hard for me to punch you. But the acting in this scene, like literally, they did nothing as far as special effects in this scene, but the acting was so much better. And yeah, that shot of him flying out the window looked really fake, but the scene was much better. That scene is short little scene, but like it's so funny how like that scene is much better than the one before it. It's kind of stupid. That whole scene was in the trailer and whatever. We already saw that before this movie ever came out. So anyway, here's the part where he goes to the pharmacy and he can't get what he needs. So then he like blows up a gas station and whatever. Gets kind of stupid from that point on. I do like the choice of like Ziggy Stardust as the song. I think that's cool. So that like kind of montage was kind of funny. I kind of liked it, but it was it was all a little weird, like from that point where he like took the classmates like teeth out and stuff. That was pretty gross. They just showed that part. And then he's gonna like attack the drug dealers that like lived on his street and whatever. which is, that was, something we probably saw coming from the beginning, but the way they had him do it in his dad's old firefighter outfit, that, because it was them trying to be kind of poetic or them being poetic, I guess, because his dad was like the retired firefighter, was like kind of disgraced, like alcoholic, you know, used to be this like glorious firefighter, and now he's like doesn't really work, so he doesn't, whatever. But like, I should get a job, but YouTube's one too. I wish YouTube would pay me. But yeah, so anyway, Ziggy Stardust, and then he goes out there dressed up in his dad's firefighter suit, and that's, how he kind of attains his whatever, like, super villain, or whatever you would call it, super villain identity. Because then he's the only character in the movie who ever, like, dresses up in any kind of costume, But that's kind of funny how this movie does that. So that is why I would say it does throw in that, super villain, superhero genre, because the kid does dress up in his dad's firefighter costume in a clear attempt to this is the scene, the clear attempt of this movie to be like, this is him being a super villain because he's, he's disguising his identity, and he's dressed up in his dad's, suit, and so that's his suit with his powers that he flies around in and whatever. Kind of stupid. But, I like this scene in a way. It's kind of weird, but it's kind of the best thing this movie did in a way. This scene right here. This scene is kind of gold in a way, like. Just especially, not even the part where he goes and does crazy stuff, but just this actual part where he like gets into the suit and everything. Like, cause then it's like, that's actually the only part right there where they're actually playing the song and everything, and then it's like kind of anticlimactic, because when he goes up to the drug dealers, like, first of all, they just like don't care that he's in this suit or whatever. They just immediately know who he is. And they're not scared of him at all, but then he like totally fucks them up with his finger gun. Which is, this movie is just being corny as ever. That's why I said I don't really like that scene that much, but it's just like the part where he's getting ready. Part where he's getting into his dad's like superhero suit or firefighter suit. See, his dad, what they have him do is he waits for his dad to leave. So he watches his dad pull off into like the old hoopty of a car or whatever. And then typically he's like muttering and kind of like yelling at the wife as he leaves. Yeah, it's like this whole interaction. Then he spits on the ground. He looks up at Andrew's room, scowling, like he's already looking up at him. And you can see those drug dealers like in the park from the same shot. So, it's so funny, dude. It's so typical. Then so the dad looks up at the window, right? And then he sees Andrew filming him, and then he kind of like, Andrew tries to like back away, but the dad like, then he like kind of like looks again, and the dad is like staring at him still. It's kind of hilarious. And he's like, that's why he's like checking to see if he left or not, because it was like, he probably had to go to the liquor store. He's got like this random like burn CDs on his bed and whatever. And there's like, those like neon jewel cases, the like slim jewel cases. Honestly, love this scene. Like, not the whole part that follows it with everything else that like follows after this sequence, but just this part where he's getting ready. So good. He puts on his dad's firefighter suit. It's so big on him, because those suits are like already kind of like, loose and bulky in that way. his dad's not much bigger than him actually, but like it just looks ridiculous on him because he's like, you know, he's such a kid and whatever. It just looks weird on him. Like this part. Because you know, so it's still the found footage. So like, the first, you know, first stuff is like he's kind of doing it. He's holding the camera while his dad's still there. So that's where kind of this transition happens again too. He's looking. There's this funny part where the dad like double takes and looks back. $750. Yeah, so the pharmacist told him it was $750. And then he told the wife, do whatever you want. So this is like before, I mean, this was, you know, I think I had the like sequence of what exactly happened wrong because dad wasn't in the hospital yet. He did like throw him against the wall in that one scene with his powers, but like they were still, you know, it's like he didn't really realize that he had powers. He just thought he was like really strong or something. So he was still there, but then for whatever reason, he went to the pharmacist still at this point. Then the dad just left, and he's gonna go do all these crimes pretty much. End up blowing up a gas station, and then somehow after that is when I don't remember what's exactly gonna happen, but he ends up like getting into this fight with his dad, and he tries to like throw him out of the hospital window too. No, but I think he gets put in the hospital when the gas station blows up. Then his dad there comes to see him and yells at him, and then he throws him out of there. It gets the movie's really weird, but like this scene's pretty cool. So yeah, I want to see that part where it like switches from him holding the camera. So he's not in the shot. That's the difference. So his dad's staring at him, and then he sees him again, and he like double takes. It just cuts to like a new shot, and then the camera is like in the air above him. It's a pretty cool shot. I wish they would have like used more of that song, because it's like actually really briefly in the movie, in the script, and then it just cuts to the rest of him doing shit. I really wish they would have, you know, included more of this song and like just kind of done more with this scene, but they wanted to kind of keep with the pacing of the story, you know. I can understand that. They're just like doing what they wanted to do. I feel like this is their version, you know. They wanted to be a little bit more direct with the points that they were trying to make. I feel like they kind of like the way that they used just a few seconds of this song overall and then cut it kind of abruptly. It's almost like I would have done a different director's cut and like given you guys more of this song, because that would have been cool. So where were the spiders when the fly tried? So it's like, what was that? Is that like, it's just music, right? We see all these like CD cases on the bed. It's like, but we're not really like made to think that was playing in the room, but like kind of, because then it's like as soon as he's not in that environment, the song stops. So I'm thinking that that's like, you big ninja. Is that what he said? Oh my god, dude. I don't know. The flying was totally unnecessary too. So like at that point, that flying thing he did, like all the rest of this was like he was just throwing them around with his mind or whatnot. So it's like he didn't do anything when he flew. Like if you would have flew into him, flying punch, flying kick, if he just like flew, he wasn't dodging a bullet or something. I didn't understand why he was flying, you know, and it looked really stupid. Again, the special effects were not what made this movie fun at all. Like, special effects. Maybe I'm lying. Good special effects are not what made this movie. Like the special effects were not exceptional. Here's where he ends up getting blown up at a gas station or whatever. Here he is walking around in this stupid firefighter suit, and he power punches the guy. Then he starts taking cash out of the register, which is like slow because there's all change and shit that he needs, all of it. Cause, you know, the guy told him $750 or whatever. So unrealistic as fuck. That guy that he just punched super hard just gets up without a problem, grabs a shotgun, pumps it, you know, jumps outside and whatever, pumps the shotgun, and instead of getting a shot off, Andrew like throws the shotgun to the side, but being that he's stupid as fuck and it's a shotgun, the stupid ass shotgun still goes off and blows up the whole fucking gas station. So I mean that was on him. So it was like, yeah, I mean, like, what was that? Like, he could have blocked the bullet or something, but instead he actually made the shotgun go off in the end. Like, that was just him reacting on instinct, and, like, that was, like, how that whole thing was probably executed. He got this stupid-ass face mask on, so he can, like, barely see what's going on. This is where his dad comes and visits him and just, like... So, I mean, this would be pretty fucked up. You're seeing all these different angles, and, like, so this is where the movie, like... honestly, it's, like... I like this movie, but I'm laughing because it's trying to be so serious, but like it's kind of doing too many things at once. This is where the movie starts to try to like, you know, so what it's doing is, you know, because it's the found footage, we've been with one camera, and so like one set of footage and you know, identifiable type of like camera footage for the most of the movie, pretty much. And now we're getting like these different angles. So it's like there was the CCTV from the hospital, but like what are we looking at now? Like, is this all found footage truly for the whole scene, or like, or for the whole movie, or like sometimes we see from just someone's perspective? Like, I don't know what exactly camera this is supposed to be now at this point. That's what I mean. It's like, it just showed us this, like, where it's like clearly a different, like, you know, CCTV, and now this angle, and it's like, so which camera was this? So I'm really not sure, because like Andrew is here, like, in the hospital, in a coma almost, like, in a body cast, and the dad is yelling at him that he needs to apologize when he's clearly, like, unconscious. But so, yeah, he was, you could see from the CCTV angle, he was controlling the camera. And then all of a sudden he, like, wakes up. The camera flies out of the room, right? And we only get to cut to a different perspective because Casey is filming at her shindig. So because one of our main characters is, you know, using their camera. So that's how this, like, you know, movie goes. Anyway.
What are you hearing?
So, like, yeah, he blew up a gas station. Now he blew up a hospital room. And, yeah, so now this is when the movie is going to, like, try to get, like, you know, so it's going to need more than just one camera to cover it, and more, or two. Like, Andrew just blew up his camera again. He just blew up his camera. How did he end up in the... who put that camera on him? That's very confusing. I still don't quite understand why the camera was there. Then we have the CCTV angle, and then there was like another camera on like a tripod dolly type of situation that was like clearly a camcorder that was filming him, and then there was that part where like you saw the CCTV angle and he was moving the camera with his mind, and then he like wakes up and blows up the room or whatever. But whose camera was that? Because like he's in there in a full body cast, so like um he obviously is controlling that camera at that point with his mind, but like I don't think he brought it in there. I don't understand that. So he's already on a CCTV. That's why I don't understand why they would specifically put a camcorder on a dolly in front of him. It gives him this better angle and it gives him this cool little shot where he's moving it, but like I don't understand like in the storyline who put that camera there, you know. So that's where it gets like this, you know, like all right, I see what they're doing, but it's like fail because it's like all right, the excuse only works as far as like, you know, here's this shot is from Casey's camera, you know, but like when it starts to be like, why was there even a camera there? Then it's like now that like plot element or like not supposed to be plot element is like now that supposed to be like almost non-plot element is distracting from the actual plot because it's, you know, very annoying.
Oh God! Hold on! Hold on to me!
The movie just goes pretty weird at this point. I didn't like this, you know, most of this part didn't really make a lot of sense to me. But yeah, I guess like the very final battle part is okay, but like this part leading up to it, I never kind of liked it, and I thought a lot of the special effects were like really bad at this point. Anyway, so yeah, overall I like the movie. I like the beginning better, kind of like it's kind of like in the craft, but you know I feel like craft is better from beginning to end. Where so here's where it starts to be like all these different camera angles, and they have that excuse for this now because this fight was happening out in the air. You could see like the news helicopters like circling them, so it's on the news and all these different things, and now these people are filming it on iPads, and there's like a viral moment. This is how this movie is like kind of silly, and like I was saying, you know,